Hello everybody, Ellie here for WhoCulture, and the Christmas celebrations continue. Hummus continues. I can't say it without laughing. It just makes me want to go and get a little bit of pitta, a little bit of cucumber, get some dip, you know. That's not what we're here to talk about. I actually want to talk to you about the latest edition of Doctor Who magazine. But before I do that, please make sure if you haven't already that you've hit that subscribe button. We've got so much coming in the build up to Joy to the World. We're going to have so much coming out in relation to Joy to the World once it's aired. And then we're going straight into the build up to season 2. So just make sure if you haven't already that you've hit that subscribe button. So one of the things that we've mentioned on the channel before is that we would really like to see Russell T Davies using this second era as showrunner to really start nurturing some new Doctor Who writing talent. You know, it's great to have the return of Stephen Moffat and Russell T Davies, and by all means, we would like that to continue. But at the same time, they need to have one eye on finding the future Russell T Davies, or the future Stephen Moffat, the future of Doctor Who. Now, we did have a great start to this in season 1. We had Kate Herron and Bryony Redman writing the episode Rogue, which was a really great episode. And it would seem now that season 2 is going to take even bigger strides in this area of new writers. So Russell T Davies has confirmed in his monthly letter that there will be 6 different writers for season 2, which includes Stephen Moffat writing Joy to the World. So what that means is that over the next 9 episodes of Doctor Who, they will be written by Russell T Davies, Stephen Moffat, and 4 other writers. Now, we haven't had any names revealed yet, and I don't expect that we will for quite some time, to be honest. But something that is really cool about one of the writers in particular is that Doctor Who will be their very first TV script. Could you imagine? And then one of the other writers, this will be their first full-length script after just doing a short film prior. That is some very fresh voices. Now, the thing about this is that you can see it from 2 perspectives. On the one hand, is it a bit risky to have someone that inexperienced writing a show like Doctor Who? That could be quite daunting. There's nothing that we can compare this script to, so that if we hear the name of the writer, we can't go, oh, well, they wrote that and that was pretty good, so I think the show's in good hands. But then at the same time, I trust Russell T Davies' judgment as a showrunner currently. And I can't imagine that he would agree to have a writer on the show if he didn't have confidence in the work that they had presented to him. He's not going to just say to anyone, yeah, sure, let's have you write an episode. He's got to approve these scripts, and so I'm fairly certain that he knows what he's doing here, so the scripts must be good. Now, of course, by saying that, I don't necessarily mean that they're going to be the most fantastic, amazing scripts that Doctor Who has ever seen, but obviously they've got something to them for Russell T Davies to have agreed to let them write for the show. And as I say, who better than Russell T Davies to be your mentor and nurture your screenwriting career firsthand on a show like Doctor Who? I mean, dream come true, no? And of course, as I say, sadly, Russell T Davies and Stephen Moffat can't do this forever, so they've got to find those fresh new voices that are going to take the baton and continue creating Doctor Who long after they can no longer do so. We want this show to live forever, you know? This show is like the Doctor themselves. It regenerates with new showrunners, new actors, and that's how it has survived for so long. So in the back of their minds, they've got to be looking out for who's going to do it next. Now, in terms of the other writers, wild speculation. Who could it be? Is it going to be 2 more newcomers that we've never heard of before? Or are we going to see some familiar faces? Are they going to be seasoned writers? Are they going to be familiar Who writers? Are we going to see the return of Mark Gatiss or Toby Whithouse? Or is it going to be perhaps a big name as a writer but not in the world of Doctor Who? Someone like Charlie Brooker, for example. I mean, the possibilities are endless. If anyone's got any wild theories, then do let me know in the comments down below. But I'm not even going to try to guess who it might be because I have no idea. Maybe we'll see Kate Herron and Bryony Redman return again. I really don't know. Now, something else that Russell T Davies mentioned in his letter in this magazine, and something that is very interesting, is that a weapon from the 9th Doctor's era is about to make a comeback. Now, obviously, we all know that there's been a lot of drama between Christopher Eccleston and Russell T Davies. There's been a lot of comments about it over the years, some quite recently. So there's a whole situation going on there. So I do find it very nice and kind of cool still, though, that Nine's era can still be mentioned and referenced and acknowledged. So this is what Russell T Davies said. A weapon from the Ninth Doctor's era in 2005 is about to make a terrifying return. I knew nothing about it until the writer handed in their magnificent script, and pow, what a comeback. Now, I just mentioned that it's nice that we still have 9 references even though there's this whole drama. Definitely sounds like, or absolutely sounds like, Russell didn't actually make that reference. So that makes a lot of sense if he doesn't want to make those references, but someone clearly has. Now, we love an Easter egg. We love a reference, hence why we make an entire video after each episode about the Easter eggs in that episode. So I think this is going to be very exciting, and I'm really hoping that we can spot it, because orcs if we can't. So I'm trying to think of what some of the possibilities are for what this weapon could be. Of course, there's the big gun that 9 threatens the Dalek with in Dalek, which never actually got fired. So it might be quite cool to bring that back and actually see what it would do if it actually does get fired. I mean, I don't know, does the Doctor just keep things in the TARDIS? He's just going to pull it out one day and go, oh, I never got to use this, I wonder what this does. Then there's the Delta Wave Generator from the Series 1 finale that the Doctor made to destroy the Daleks. But again, it never actually got used, because if the Doctor had actually used it to wipe out the Daleks, then he would have wiped out everyone on Earth as well, so, definitely sounds terrifying to me. But if I'm being honest here, I feel like the strongest contender for what this weapon might be lies with the connection to Villengard, which we obviously have had reference to in Stephen Moffat's previous episodes in season 1 in Boom. We know it's going to be referenced in Joy to the World as well. So my gut is saying that it's going to be something to do with Villengard, in which case it's probably going to be Captain Jack's sonic blaster, which we saw in the Empty Child / the Doctor dances. It seems the most likely. I don't know. You know, we have this connection with Villengard, we know it's coming, so in my mind it makes the most sense. I mean, other possibilities, we have the anti-plastic from Rose, which was used to destroy the Nestine things. Great Doctor Who explanation there, Ellie. You really deserve your job right now. I mean, the thing is, it just depends on the writer, doesn't it? Because we were just talking about these new writers. Well, if one of these new writers is a big Doctor Who fan, then I have confidence in them writing a great story if they're making references to things that even Russell T Davies didn't think of. So let's just ignore the fact that it might be Stephen Moffat for a second, and it could be one of these writers who are proving that they have deep knowledge of Doctor Who lore and the deep cut references that we as fans love to see in the show. So it's all very exciting and all very new. But at the same time, let's be honest, this is Russell T Davies, so he could just be pulling our leg. He could be over-exaggerating, could be joking, and by weapon, he could literally mean the banana that the Doctor pulls out in the Doctor dances. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see there. Probably this won't be a huge element to the plot. It's probably just going to be maybe a throwaway thing, something in the background. I'm not entirely sure what it's going to be, but the fact that he says a terrifying return does suggest that maybe there is some significance to it. Now, the Ninth Doctor is not the only one who's had an upcoming connection teased. There's also the 11th Doctor's era that has been teased and referenced in this edition of Doctor Who magazine. The cover features an image from Joy to the World with the Doctor holding a newspaper, and on that newspaper we can see headlines and stories like Duck Pond Mystery Solved and Prisoner Zero Found Innocent. And the paper itself is called the Timey-Wimey because, of course, they have to make reference to the timey-wimey phrase as well. Why wouldn't you? If you can, why wouldn't you? Now, just in case you've forgotten what these references are, Prisoner Zero obviously is the first creature that we met in the 11th hour, the first creature that the 11th Doctor encountered. Now, we never actually learn why he was in prison in the 11th hour, although there was a scene that was cut from the script, and that explained that Prisoner Zero had invaded another planet by impersonating an entire army. So maybe we'll have this explained or explored somehow in a brief moment in the Christmas special. I mean, maybe we'll get a glimpse of someone reading or discussing the newspaper article and discussing Prisoner Zero's original crime, and then it will be revealed to us and we'll have an answer to that question. As for the duck pond, this is also a reference to the 11th hour, because in this episode the Doctor makes a really big deal about pointing out that there's a duck pond, but why are there no ducks? And obviously this was never really brought up again. Now, it was originally supposed to be in the Series 5 finale, where we'd see the ducks return to the pond after the universe was reset, but that was again cut from the final episode. So maybe in this episode, Stephen Moffat is actually going to take this opportunity to do something with the duck pond. And that does seem to be the case based on what the newspaper's subheading says, which is, in an astonishing turn of events, what was once thought to be an ordinary duck pond in a quiet corner of Ledworth has turned out to be an extraordinary time portal to the year 1973. Why would a duck pond be a time portal? Honestly, I have no idea, but could it connect to the Time Hotel in some way? Possibly. If I'm being perfectly honest, I don't know that these are going to be major plot threads at all. In fact, I don't really know if they're going to be referenced beyond the fact that they're printed on the newspaper. Sometimes I think Easter eggs are best if they're just hidden in the background and not really mentioned, and that's what I feel like is going to happen here. I think it's enough that they're there. There's an acknowledgement of Stephen Moffat's past, but I don't necessarily think it's going to work if we start actually bringing up these plot details. I've never really sat there and gone, I wonder why Prisoner Zero was in prison. It's not really something, that wasn't the point of the episode. So I think, to be honest, the explanation of this is not coming, and the reference is going no further than the fact that it's just there in the background on a newspaper. Having said that, I do love that we are getting all of these Easter eggs. I mean, this episode we know is going to be stacked with Easter eggs and references. So the video that we produce after this episode is going to be a monster. Think it's gonna take some time, so don't be too alarmed if it comes a little bit later than when you would normally expect our Easter egg video to come. Think it's gonna take us quite some time. Plus it's Christmas, you know, and we all deserve a little break at Christmas. But what I do love is that Stephen Moffat's made his grand return to Doctor Who, and straight away he's like, bam, the Guard, Anglican Marines, Prisoner Zero, Timey-Wimey, the Moon and the President's Wife, the Duck Ponds, you know, all this stuff that's referencing his past outings in Doctor Who, and it's shameless, but let's be honest, if we all had the opportunity to do that, we absolutely would. And don't lie to yourself. Yes, you would. Yes, you would do it. Anyway, let me know your thoughts on these things in the comments down below, and let me know your thoughts on who these new writers might be. I'm intrigued. I honestly have no clue whatsoever. So if you think you've cracked it, then please do let me know. In the meantime, I've been Ellie for WhoCulture, and in the words of Riversong herself, goodbye, sweeties.